There's no safe place left on Earth to avoid deadly air pollution. Virtually no place on Earth is safe from harmful levels of air pollution, a new study warns. In fact, researchers in Australia say only 0.001% of the global population lives in areas where levels are below those recommended by the World Health Organization, WHO. Toxic particles coming from traffic and industry are the leading environmental risk factors for disease. Less than the 50th of the width of the human air, fine particle matter, PM 2.5, gets into the blood through the lungs, triggering inflammation. The first study of its kind also finds that 0.18% of global land areas are still within safe limits. It proves a deep understanding of the current state of outdoor air pollution and its impacts on human health. With this information, policymakers, public health officials, and researchers can better assess the short-term and long-term health effects of air pollution and develop air pollution mitigation strategies, said lead author Professor Yuming Gu of Monash University in a media release. The international team looked at PM 2.5s produced by diesel fumes, wood smoke, brake pads, tires, and road dust. WHO guidelines state that these levels should not exceed 15 micrograms per cubic meter. Professor Guo and the team mapped changes in concentrations across the world over the past 2 decades. In the study, he said, we used an innovative machine learning approach to integrate multiple meteorological and geological information to estimate the global surface level daily by PM 2.5 concentrations at a high spatial resolution of approximately 10 kilometers by 10 kilometers for global grid cells from the year 2000 to 2019, focusing on areas about 15 mg per cubic meter, which is considered the safe limit by WHO. The threshold is still arguable, though. Professor Guo explains. The findings fill an important gap in pollution research. Having only a small number of monitoring stations globally has meant information on local, national, regional, and global exposure has been lacking. The findings are based on air quality observations and data from satellite-based weather and pollution scanners and AI, artificial intelligence, neural networks. Over this study period, the annual average of PM 2.5s was 32.8 mg per square meter, over twice the legal limit. High exposure days in Europe and the US fell, but rose in Southern Asia, Australia and New Zealand, Latin America and the Caribbean. By 2019, PM 2.5s were above 15 mg per square meter per cubic meter, 70% of the time, soaring to over 90% in Southern and Eastern Asia. Well, as we know, that's why China is the biggest polluter of the world. Now, the highest concentrations were in Eastern Asia, Southern Asia, and Northern Africa. The analysis published in the Lancet Planetary Health also identified alarming seasonal patterns. For instance, Northeast China and North India had unsafe levels during their winter months of December, January, and February, while eastern areas of North America were the worst in summer months of June, July, August. Professor Guo says we also recorded relatively high PM 2.5 air pollution in August and September in South America and from June to September in sub-Saharan Africa. Australia and New Zealand, 8.5 mg per cubic meter. Other regions in Oceania, 12.6. South America, 15.6, had the lowest annual concentration of air pollution. Recently, a study found even PM 2.5 exposure of between 12 and 13.9 mg per cubic meter raises the risk of dying from cardiovascular disease by 16%. Scientists in the US called for a new standard limit of 8 mg per cubic meter. Air pollution kills an estimated 1.8 million people across the world each year. It's also behind nearly 2 million cases of childhood asthma. In 2013, officials with the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified MP2.5s as a carcinogen. And this is on study finds. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.